talking about the Weymouth High boys soccer team, which pulled out an exciting 3-2 victory over Bridgewater Raynham on the road in their opening match. As the Wildcats had built a 2-1 lead after the first half of play, saw Bridgewater come back, tie the match at 2 apiece and 2 minutes to go. But with 40 seconds left, Tim Carolexis get the game winner for the Wildcats off a great flick pass by Tom Aiello as the Wildcats defeat Bridgewater Raynham in their opening match 3-2. They went on and beat Quincy 9-0. As for the girls, they are 1-0-1 at the time of our taping. They tied Bridgewater Raynham scoreless down in Bridgewater and then defeated Quincy 4-0. As for the Weymouth High football team, it all begins with Wildcats just took whatever momentum from the south, tried to build away. Jake Lawson, his own teammates tried to put shots on him. David Verasso tried. Lawson, great stick. He made some great ones. For the Wildcats, they go on the road. Second game of the season, up north they go. Billerica. It ought to be an interesting game. Billerica has a lot of formations to show. It's going to be an exciting game up at Billerica this Saturday. Well, the home opener for Weymouth, as far as boys soccer go, would be a very interesting match for the Wildcats. Plymouth South, which made it to the Division I South sectional semifinals, where they fell to New Bedford a year ago, invaded Legion Field with their 11 returning players. The Wildcats would provide Plymouth South with a very interesting time at Legion Field. As far as this home opener goes, the Wildcats, well, they have the strong defense and good goaltending from David Rasco. On this Joel Perry restart, Rasco makes sure that the Wildcats don't get in an early hole. However, it was Jake Lawson who was very, very tough. He will stop Seamus Donovan right here coming up. Seamus Lawson, who came up with a lot of great saves. However, it is Joel Perry that would find the mark for Plymouth South with this little looper that will come up to the far corner. 1-0 Plymouth South. But seconds later, Wildcats' John Stanford says, you know, the far corner is a nice place to put a soccer ball, isn't it? Why don't I try it? Clank right off the post and in, tied at 1. That was a key play in the game because the Wildcats just took whatever momentum Plymouth South tried to build away. Jake Lawson, his own teammates tried to put shots on him. David Verasso tried. Lawson, great save. He made some great ones off that Tim Carolexis restart. But at the end of the first half, Chris Beston, who led the Wildcats in goal scoring a year ago, will come up with one of the big plays, taking the feed from Tim Carolexis right here. Watch Beston stop, wheel, deal, 2-1 Weymouth. Seamus Donovan goal at the beginning of the second half makes it 3-1. Wildcats just go on a tear at the beginning of the second half. It was between Chris Besson and Seamus Donovan. Well, the two just made sure that this would be all Weymouth. As Chris Beston, in the middle of the flurry, makes it 4-1 off the Tim Carolexis corner kick. Tim Carolexis, who would have 4 assists, says, hey, let's try the play again. Seamus Donovan, your turn. 5-1 Weymouth. Wildcats just rolling right along. David Rasco makes sure that it is all Weymouth in this one. Great stop off that Chuck Quinn restart. Said Jake Lawson was phenomenal in net for Plymouth South. He and David Rasco both made some outstanding saves and got a little luck as well, did Lawson, off that Chris Beston post shot. However, it was Plymouth South finding the range one more time, but it wouldn't be enough. As Graham Smith off this Chuck Quinn crossing feed. Nice feed by Quinn to Graham Smith. 5-2 your final in this one. The Wildcats win their home opener. They defeat Falmouth. Chris Beston, 2 goals in that game. As for the Wildcats, the match with Brockton was postponed. Silver Lake, a big one coming up Friday. The makeup with Barnstable next Monday and North Quincy. As far as Weymouth cross country goes, nice way to start the season for both boys and girls. Caitlin Conley leads the way along with Holly Rose in the girls' victory. Matt Callahan, one of the best around, leading the boys at Quincy Friday and next Tuesday home for Plymouth South.
at Legion Field for high school soccer action as tonight the Wildcats of Weymouth High in their home opener taking on the Panthers of Plymouth South. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mark Ducharme. I'll call your play-by-play. This promises to be a dandy of a home opener for the Wildcats in that Plymouth South had a great run to the South Sectional title game. They fell just short, losing to New Bedford. The Wildcats, the defending Old Colony, two-time Old Colony League champions, three-time South Sectional champions, as they get ready to take on a Panther team who they, well, defeated and tied a year ago. As there are the threat of showers here at Legion Field as we get set to go. Weymouth and Plymouth South. The Wildcats, home white shirts, maroon letters, and maroon shorts. Plymouth South, the teal with the white numbers, black stripe around as we're underway here at Legion Field. As wind blowing right to left. Weymouth will have a slight wind at their back here in the first half. Keith Fernie, where's 14, is trying to knock it upfield, as is Paul McCann, 9. Wildcats 2-0 as they won an exciting, very, very exciting game against Bridgewater Raynham. David Roscoe feeding upfield. Tommy Aiello, the sophomore, flicked it ahead and hit Tim Karolexis on the fly with 40 seconds left, and Tim Karolexis buried a shot past Bridgewater goaltender Adam King that gave the Wildcats the victory in Game 1. Game 2, an easy one over Quincy by the score of 9-0, as Plymouth South 2-0 as well. And Jake Lausen having to make the save right off the bat. This is Panther team, 11 returnees from last year's team that went to the sectional semifinals. They had the terrific run. They figured to be a threat and join the upper echelon of the Old Colony League. The OCL, they were doing when Weymouth merged, it was so funny. When you look at it, it was Bridgewater, Silver Lake, and Plymouth at that time as the teams to contend with. And then Weymouth made their mark known the first year of the merger to give a fourth team. Then all of a sudden Falmouth emerged, and Falmouth is going to be a very, very tough team to deal with. And Barnstable improved a year ago, and you have an OCL that is getting stronger and stronger, and the Wildcats in their final year of the OCL, they possibly to the Bay State League, which has had the great prestige, but the OCL has possibly been the best Division I boys soccer league around. One shot on net so far. We played just over 2 minutes. Mark Ducharme with you here on Cox Communications 23. Sit back and relax as you look at Seamus Donovan. Seamus, 2 goals against Quincy. Chris Machado, who got a big goal against Bridgewater Raynham. Wildcats took advantage of restart situations in defeating Bridgewater in that opening game. David Roscoe, who had an outstanding performance in that victory down in Bridgewater. Wildcat goalie did a lot of great things. As Tommy Hantakis set up Weymouth's first goal that was scored by Keith Verney in that game. Steve Schaffiel's McDonovan to hit it to the corner, and Seamus misfires on it. And back comes Plymouth South, and this is Corey Roush. Corey Roush, Chuck Quinn, 2 very, very tough individuals. Offensively, the Wildcats will look to slow down. Machado has it poked away by Jason Percy, out of bounds. Beston, Wildcats leading scorer of a year ago, can't track down the throw as Chris Penny is marked on him. Chris did not get any points in the opening match against Bridgewater Raynham, but his presence was known. In fact, his presence, if you saw the play on Weymouth this week of the game-winning goal, BR had 2 people looking for Chris Beston to get the feed, and it was Tim Karolexis who just blew by the Bridgewater defenders and just exploded to the net and took the perfect flick from Tommy Aiello and buried it. Steve Schaff was remarking about that with me prior to the game. Santakis, Wildcats sent it out of bounds. Plymouth South hasn't had the threat yet, and they're capable of putting on some good pressure. And their game with Weymouth down in Plymouth, as it comes in, and Roscoe has to make the very nice stop. David Roscoe. They played behind two seniors a year ago, but he has done an outstanding job, and from behind the push on Chris Penny. Restart situation. As you look at Chris Machado, and this is about the point of the field where he did get his first goal of the season against Quincy. He added to his total, 2 goals, 2 assists. That time his restart situation twist a little away from the net. He's trying to go corner against Jason Lawson. Jake Lawson able to grab it, and it was Tommy Antakis. Field to throw in. As I mentioned, tie down in Plymouth, 1-1 game that Plymouth had chances, and Weymouth had chances. Are very evenly played. Battle between the two. Very nice defense right there for the Wildcats. Chris Brown did a good job in cutting off Chuck Quinn. John Stanford misfiring Plymouth South. Jason Miller. Keith Verney has done a very nice job in the early going, patrolling the back line. Scoreless, nearly 7 minutes gone here in this first half. Weymouth, Plymouth South. Mark Duchamp with you. Warmth-wise here at Legion Field, the type of weather you like. 70s. Day of this game, about high 50s, low 60s right now. Just very pleasant jacket weather, a little breeze. But there is that possibility of a shower. Seamus Donovan. Tim Karolexis tries to circle around. Tim cut down on the play. As Jason Miller does the job in front, flicked away by Jason Percy. Seamus Donovan wheels, deals, and nearly buried it in the upper corner. Jake Lawson did a good job. He read the play, anticipated where that shot was coming, and just reacted perfectly. And we stay scoreless, and the Wildcats, Plymouth South, both have some, well, fairly good chances here in this first half. The chances are starting to improve. It's almost like both teams are trying to see what the other can do. Plymouth South coming off a 3-2 victory over a very, very improving Taunton team. I mean, it's a word I use a great deal. Improve in doing these games as far as boys soccer in the OCL. Roscoe. David had no problems with that. I mean, everybody was, whoa! But the fact was, David had to play more under control. Chris Machado gets, well, Jason Percy got away with it. Because I'll tell you, Jason reached back. I mean, basketball, it would have been possibly an offensive foul because the way he reached back. And from behind, Hantakis, restart situation just above the box. To Alessio Basilio, saying that he thought he was in the box. He got a penalty kick. In the game, we brought you the Weymouth girls against Quincy, 3 penalty kicks. As you look at Chuck Quinn, who got a goal in the game up here at Legion Field, but drills it past everything, and you see what it is so far as this game goes, the numbers.
Now entering the game for Weymouth.
Off the goal kick. From the South, able to push it back downfield by Percy. And booted upfield. It'll be a throw-in for Weymouth as Chris Brown punched it off, a Plymouth South player. Plymouth South. 2-0 coming into this one, as well as Weymouth. So you look at Tom Aiello, the person I mentioned earlier, with a great pass to set up the game-winning goal down in Bridgewater. Aiello played on the Bay State games, Southeast squad, with a couple of his present Weymouth teammates. Seamus Donovan, also on that Bay State team, with Tom Aiello. And you do your homework, and at times you just get Tommy Hentakis, the other individual. I was going to say you get frozen. Sometimes you do a lot of homework and give all the preparations, and you forget a name, and you don't mean to. But Tommy Hentakis, Seamus Donovan, Tommy Aiello comprise the Southeast team that won the silver medal. And Seamus Donovan, it has got to be pointed out, had an outstanding tournament in the Bay State games. He was very, very productive offensively. The Wildcats have that with Beston and Donovan up front, and you just see how those two interact right there. Corner kick about to come up for the Wildcats. When I was thinking about it, the Bridgewater, Raynham, when I was shooting the highlights, I don't see many high school teams better than Weymouth as far as restart situations go. Beston nearly made it 1-0. Chris just missed punching it into the net. You know, Wildcats have an opportunity to get on the board with a couple of great opportunities and almost get another one, as Percy almost made a huge mistake. Seamus Donovan to the middle of the field. Chuck Quinn knocks down the pass. Boy, good hustle by Paul McCann to slow that play down and get it back to Keith Burney for Weymouth gain control. Beston wheels, trying to slip it to the right side to Paul Chase. Now Chase played on a select team, top players at his age bracket in the state, and he was a member of that team. And Plymouth South getting on the scoreboard. What a shot.
Number 28, Joel Perry.
Panthers on the board. Joel Perry. I'll go by Jules Terry public address announcement, because it was tough to see. And Johnny Stanford says, hey, take that, with a terrific far corner shot. So seconds after Perry scores for Plymouth South, Stanford answers. About chances and chances, and then all of a sudden a few chances emerge and we have a goal for each team. I'll tell you, Jake Lausen, no chance in that shot. That ball had a perfect twist to it to the far corner, and the Wildcats nearly gain the lead, and Derek Barrasso is looking back and saying thank you to Jake Lausen, because Derek Barrasso meant to just guide it back, instead almost put a blistering shot past his goaltender, and Chris Beston nearly had the rebound. Well, all of a sudden, great chances with each team cashing in on one, and then one that is denied. And it's changed things around a little bit. As you look at Paul McCann, deflected back, Roscoe comes out and knocks it upfield. Davids gets some big shoes to fill when you look at the fact that the man he replaces, Chris DeAndrea. Was an all-scholastic goaltender. And Salem State thought enough of him as they offered him the opportunity to go up there and play soccer as well. It's also alma mater of Weymouth assistant coach Bob Griffin. As you look at Tom Aiello. Kontakis. Oh, pretty move to go down the middle. Tommy drills and Lausen. Good stop. Kontakis with a bullet. Second corner kick for the Wildcats in this one. Plymouth South, you have to have a corner kick. And Plymouth South to the ball first. They won that 50-50 ball very easily. First Wildcat corner kick nearly got Chris Beston a goal. Panthers try to wheel it upfield. It's funny, when Plymouth, you look at the split of the schools, and I'm going to bring up the point being the last go-around with Weymouth-Plymouth as far as soccer goes as being an OCL matchup. But when you look back, you want to play what if, and I'll play what if. Plymouth North was outstanding a year ago in boys soccer, and Plymouth South, Plymouth South sectional semifinalists. Plymouth North went 2 rounds. I'd be curious to see how good Plymouth would have been combined, what they could have possibly accomplished a year ago. You know, it used to be the old comment with Weymouth North and Weymouth South, and we have seen the dividends. Lausen has had a couple of terrific saves here in this first half. And if he didn't make them, we could have a possible 2-goal lead and potential, the way they have controlled, to make this thing a rout in the first half. And despite some good Wildcat opportunities, Plymouth South took advantage of one great opportunity. Aiello tries to wheel his way around, gets bumped off the play. McCann left foots it to the middle. Alexis, good stutter move. Stanford, who got the Wildcats goal, has it blocked. McCann. Perry for Plymouth.
Now in for Weymouth, number 21.
Stanford for Weymouth. Those are the goal scorers. Wildcat girls coach Jackie Dean nearest to you on the screen. Her team off to the good start at the time of this taping. And the Wildcats trying to put the pressure on. Beston tries to circle back, find somebody open. Stanford was, but Stanford had the pass behind him. And Takas. Bernie on the regroup. And the feed, it's down the far wing side. Here, Beston deflects it out of bounds. Steve Shaw directing traffic. Beston. Bernie tries to hit Compreccio and comes upfield to greet the pass. Jojo. And his presence known as a varsity player as a sophomore year ago in limited time. As we go into the halfway point of this first half, we're tied at 1, Weymouth and Plymouth South. Mark Duchamp with you here on Cox Communications 23. As David Rasco Driving it upfield. Comprescio tries to run underneath, tries to just guide it ahead where he could run towards the net, and was cut off. Plymouth South did a good job. Beston wheels, deals. That was a great shot by Chris. Mike Eaton draped on him. And Jake Lawton right now, the reason the Wildcats sign up by maybe 2-3 goals at this present time. Weymouth had some good opportunities. Backline of Plymouth South has been cut up a little by Wildcats slicing to the front and in between. It's almost like you look like a zone defense where people just sliding into the little areas and just getting off good shots. Well, it's not a zone defense by any means. It's just, that's how it looks. It's just slide in, get your spot, and then shoot. The Wildcats have done just that. Stanford, near side pass to Aiello. Tommy, I think he might be called, or will they call on Alessio Basilio? Basilio? They said no, they said that Aiello was pushing off. Restart situation, Plymouth South. A little over 40 yards away. On the Wildcat defense, Paul McCann does the job of knocking the ball down. McCann trying to push it upfield by the Panthers. Derek Ferrasso nearly made a huge mistake in this first half, punching one into his own net. Verney goes upfield with a kick. Comprescio. Karolexis, and a little too much on the pass. For your numbers as far as this first half goes, and there's been a wide open first half. Wildcats, for the most part, have been able to control. Jake Lawton has made some very nice plays when needed. For coach Peter Casagerian's Plymouth South Panthers. And that great run a year ago in the tournament, and you get a lot of returnees back. You have that great run in the tournament, that makes that off-season work ethic that much better, because people want to take that next step up. Corey Roush, Roscoe, looks like Ken Griffey Jr. just waiting for the ball to bounce in, field it on the hop, and then just wait, grab it, and now drive it upfield. Eaton knocks down the attempt by John Stanford to send one of his teammates up the middle, namely Comprescio, and we'll keep heading towards the Plymouth South net. The restart situation. Tim Karolexis, here we go. Some dandy maneuvers off restart situations. Wildcats made it happen, and that was tougher than it looked. That thing just kept driving towards the corner and had enough steam where Lawton really had to make a quick maneuver to grab it. Wildcats dominating as far as the shots go, but we are tied as far as the scoreboard goes, and that's the most important part here in this first half. And a very entertaining first half. Kentuckus, great idea. Tommy had Chris Machado just curling right around behind the defense, and Tommy just tried to pooch it right through and get Machado where he could have gone in and locked him by himself. Machado, nice move. Tried to feed Beston. Machado gets another opportunity to go to Beston, but it's knocked away on both attempts by Chris. Danny McDonald played very well in the 2 games so far for the Wildcats. It's on the South team. It'd be very interesting. This OCL is going to be very interesting. Wildcats, right now, you'd have to say the prohibited favorite. We put the fact that the Wildcats should be the prohibited favorite. The amount of returnees, what they did a year ago, right? You look at the returnees, it's just at each area of the field you have veteran players that have been through some wars, and that makes a major difference. Seamus Donovan, that was the reason for the whistle, is checking back in for Chris Beston. Preccio, that was all JoJo, and Seamus Donovan, Comprescio, Watson knocks it down and then cleared away by Plymouth South. Good teamwork both sides. And the way Comprescio and Donovan attacked, and the way Eaton and Lawton were able to push the ball away from being a very dangerous situation. McCann, ripped down by Chet Quinn, no doubt about that. Plymouth South, which improved their wrestling program a year ago under Coach Mark Laranja. They didn't like that move. That was quick. Could go in about, what, 150, 160 pound class for that quickness. You get takedowns like that. Quinn is also, and Quinn is really an outstanding soccer player. He showed that a year ago. He drilled a shot in the game here at Weymouth. It was a 2-1 Weymouth victory. Quinn got the goal for the Panthers and got them going. Chipped ahead. Rasco will field it on a very nice bounce and then drive it out. Machado. Aiello just shielded, and, well, he caused Plymouth South to deflect it to Chris Machado. Panthers trying to spring check Quinn. Quinn, handball, check Quinn. Well, the Panthers apparently are going to take the approach with Chuck Quinn, spring him. Try to have him go one-on-one against one of the outside Weymouth High defenders and make something happen that way. It's a team that had looked to Ryan Panteri